What happens when a physically fragile scholar is violently forced into the most dangerous military academy in a world where weakness means death?
And not only that, but the institution actually encourages the killing of cadets.
You've shared the book with us, and we are ready to dive in. Discover a new in-depth approach to book coverage with this extended summary. Unlike our previous review, which offers a focused analysis, this feature delivers a comprehensive overview tracing the intellectual roots, key arguments, and real-world impact of this subject.
And if you appreciate this expanded format, if you find it helpful, let us know. Your feedback really does help shape future content.
So today we're launching into Rebecca Yarros' blockbuster new adult fantasy romance, Fourth Wing.
This book just exploded onto the scene in May 2023. It's the first volume in the Empyrean series, centered entirely on dragon riders serving the Kingdom of Navarre.
It's a massive story.
It is. And we're going to break down the incredible tension and political complexity for you.
Okay, let's get right to the heart of it. Our mission for you, the listener, is to give you a comprehensive summary of Violet Sorrengail's brutal first year at Basgiath War College.
We'll be focusing on her unconventional survival strategies, the deep political intrigue bubbling just beneath the surface,
And how she forms these completely unprecedented bonds, all while stopping short of revealing the final climactic outcome of the book. No spoilers here.
And just so you know, you are experiencing a unique two-host AI conversation powered by Google's Notebook LM for deeper, more dynamic book summaries.
All right, let's start at the beginning. The story opens with a truly unfair hand being dealt to our protagonist, Violet Sorrengail.
Her path was supposed to be completely different.
Completely. She spent her entire life expecting to join the scribe quadrant. The scholars, the historians.
Keepers of knowledge, that's her strength. Observation, intellect, not martial skill.
And that distinction is crucial. She suffers from hypermobile joints. She's physically small.
She's literally built to fail in a place like Basgiath. But her mother, General Violet Sorrengail, a powerful, uncompromising figure, overrides Violet's choice.
On conscription day, no less?
She forces Violet into the deadly rider quadrant. It's basically a death sentence, and it's delivered by her own mother.
And the setting itself, Basgiath War College, just confirms that sentence.
It's a colossal fortress-like complex. It trains 4 groups: riders, scribes, infantry, and healers. But the rider quadrant is where the danger is just hyper-concentrated.
It's an incredibly brutal filtering mechanism.
What defines Basgiath is the institutional savagery. The commandant doesn't just look the other way. He actively tolerates the killing of cadets.
He encourages it.
He does. They believe that this ruthlessness is what forges the strongest riders. So cadets can settle old scores or simply remove threats, and it's all accepted as part of the training.
The school's motto is basically a warning, isn't it?
A dragon rider who hesitates is dead, and they enforce that from the very first minute.
Which brings us to her first test, the infamous entrance trial known as the parapet.
It's designed to kill the unfit immediately. Imagine a narrow, incredibly exposed stone walkway with sheer, fatal drops on either side.
And recruits have to cross it in high winds.
While other cadets are allowed, even encouraged, to push their rivals to their deaths. It's a Darwinian nightmare.
And she is immediately targeted, personally. A recruit named Jack Barlow singles her out, tries to throw her off.
So this isn't just a generic challenge for her. It's an immediate realization that she's seen as prey.
But this is where her scribe brain kicks in, right?
Exactly. She doesn't have the strength to fight him off directly, so she uses strategy. She's watching the wind patterns. She's observing the structure of the walkway.
And she uses the momentum of the environment and his own arrogance against him.
She survives by outthinking her opponent.
Hmm.
And that sets up the core theme of her survival. Intellect as the ultimate weapon.
Surviving the parapet, though, only throws Violet into an even more treacherous world. The danger at Basgiath isn't just physical.
It's deeply political. The moment she enters the quadrant, she's confronted by this simmering tension related to the marked cadets.
These are the children of the Great Rebellion, a failed uprising that Navarre crushed years earlier.
Right. And as punishment, these children are required to serve under intense scrutiny with the understanding they'll be sent to the deadliest front lines after graduation.
They're a constant, visible reminder of treason within the military ranks.
And the leader of this group is Zaid Rierson, the intimidating wing leader of the Fourth Wing.
Zayden bears the rebellion mark of his executed father, and he has profound personal reasons to despise Violet's family.
Her mother, General Sorrengail, was directly responsible for crushing that uprising and for executing the rebel leaders, including Xaden's father.
So Violet is walking into a situation where she is not only physically weak, but she's also carrying this inherited guilt from her mother's actions.
Which makes her a target for the most powerful and dangerous cadet on campus.
Exactly. So given this reality, how does she actually win the daily combat challenges?
She relies entirely on non-physical warfare. It's fascinating because she uses her academic foundation.
Her knowledge of herbs and poisons, learned from her scribe-leaning childhood.
Precisely. She's not trying to overpower her opponents. She's weakening them just enough to survive the required duels, turning a potential loss into a strategic win.
It's the ultimate weaponization of scholarly knowledge.
And this strategy immediately attracts allies. She forms essential alliances with first years like Rhiannon Matthias, a capable fighter who helps train her, and Radak, a reliable friend.
But at the same time, she has to navigate this tricky relationship with Dane Ados, a wing leader and her childhood friend.
Dane constantly tries to protect her by urging her to quit or transfer, citing her physical condition.
And this is a really complex dynamic.
It is. He thinks he's acting out of care, but his protection often feels like control. He constantly reminds her of her limitations, which, in the brutal culture of Basgiath, is a form of undermining her.
The narrative then quickly builds toward two major tests that completely redefine her trajectory: the gauntlet and threshing.
Let's start with the gauntlet. This is the big physical test required before they can even meet a dragon.
A massive vertical obstacle course, swinging blades, rotating platforms, climbing elements.
All designed to test raw strength and agility. For Violet, this is, on paper, mathematically impossible to complete conventionally.
But that's where her unconventional methods shine again. She realizes brute force isn't the only way.
She meticulously studies the structure and uses her smaller daggers not as weapons for stabbing,
but as sophisticated climbing hooks to ascend the course.
It's sheer ingenuity. Her peers might sneer and call it cheating using tools when they're using muscle, but it demonstrates a strategic genius that commands attention.
It solidifies her reputation as someone who has to be watched, not dismissed.
After proving she has the mind for survival, she moves on to threshing in the Dragon Vale. This is the moment where the rules of the world change completely.
Because the human institution has to submit to dragon's sovereignty.
Exactly. Threshing is the most dangerous day of the year.
Yeah.
Dragons are completely autonomous. They choose their riders, and they despise any sign of weakness.
The book stresses that most cadets approach threshing fully expecting to die.
And the dragon's laws supersede all of Navarre's human commands. If a cadet attacks another during threshing, the dragons themselves execute the offender, usually by fire.
This sets the stage for Violet's incredible, unprecedented bonding event.
During the chaos, Violet shows selflessness by protecting a small, rare gold dragonling named Andarna.
And this act attracts the notice of Tern, a massive, ancient, and highly feared black dragon.
Tern, who just so happens to be mated to Xaden's dragon, Sgail, intervenes and ultimately chooses her. This is shocking enough.
The largest, most powerful dragon choosing the smallest, frailest cadet.
But then Andarna, the small gold dragonling she protected, forms a secondary bond with her.
A dual bond. This is literally unheard of.
It gives her an unprecedented status, and it forces the entire hierarchy to recognize a power they can't control.
And the bonding is the gateway to signets, the unique magical abilities.
Violet's dual bond doesn't just grant her power, it grants her extremely rare powers associated with lightning and, critically, with manipulation of time.
We only see the early stages, but these are powers that set her apart immediately.
The successful completion of the gauntlet and the emergence of these rare powers show the massive leap in Violet's strategic and intellectual growth.
Right, and speaking of intellectual growth, that process of analyzing strategy, of seeing this emergent knowledge, it leads us right to the idea of critical thinking. We should take just a quick moment to mention our Mindful Moments content.
A perfect segue.
It is. Check out Mindful Moments, our YouTube channel offering AI book analysis, summaries, and critiques. It's all about inspiring reflection and rational thought, which is also extremely valuable for aspiring authors looking to understand narrative structure.
So once Violet is bonded, the stakes just skyrocket. She's no longer a regular target.
She's an invaluable, high-profile asset who must be eliminated by rivals who feel threatened by her new power and status.
This leads very quickly to an organized assassination attempt. The plot pivots from simple rivalry to coordinated murder.
A group of cadets tries to kill her in her sleep.
And this is the first major payoff of her dual bond. Andarna, the little gold dragonling, intervenes in a spectacular fashion.
She briefly stops the flow of time.
Just enough to disrupt the attack, giving Violet the second she needs to escape and call for help. This forces Xaden and the dragons to intervene, and they lethally eliminate the attackers.
The aftermath of that attack completely shifts the dynamic with Xaden.
He realizes passive hatred won't keep her alive, so he insists on personally ensuring her safety, which forces them into this uncomfortable proximity.
Nighttime flights, strategic planning sessions, shared peril.
And the relationship shifts from hostility through an uneasy alliance into something much more charged and complicated.
With her life secured for the moment, Violet's scribe instincts kick back in. The narrative moves from personal survival to national conspiracy.
She's been trained to notice details. During classroom lectures and mission briefings, she starts spotting inconsistencies in the official histories and the reports about the war.
She realizes the official narrative Navarre is feeding its students and its people doesn't match the reality of the external threat.
This is where the story truly becomes one of political deception. She begins to suspect that Navarre's leadership is actively hiding critical information about their enemies and the vulnerability of their kingdom.
And this suspicion is confirmed late in the book, isn't it?
Yes. After a successful competitive war game, which Violet's squad wins through superior strategy, proving her tactical value, they get permission for a rare mission to a Navarian outpost.
And what she finds there is a shock.
She encounters undeniable evidence that the front lines are closer and infinitely more dangerous than Navarre's reports suggest.
More critically, she uncovers that trusted authority figures, including people she considered friends like Dane Ados, have been manipulating and censoring information.
Information about the kingdom's protective wards, the true extent of the enemy's power. It's a massive betrayal.
It proves that Dane's so-called protection was actually a systemic form of control designed to maintain the official lie.
And this discovery forces Violet into a massive confrontation. She must choose between the institutional loyalty she inherited from her mother and the dangerous truth she has uncovered with her own eyes.
When we look back at Violet's arc over this first year, the transformation is just stunning.
She starts as the fragile prey, relying on agility and poisons to survive.
She ends the year as a powerful, dual-bonded writer with rare signets and a central figure in a burgeoning political resistance.
And that contrast is why the first-person perspective works so well. The story is told entirely from Violet's past tense point of view.
So you get direct access to her internal world.
Her constant physical pain, the high-stakes tactical calculations she's running in her head, and her rapidly shifting emotional response to the political danger. It makes her survival feel so much more earned.
At a high level, the book successfully navigates some heavy themes. We see resilience under structural brutality.
And that constant tension between inherited guilt carried by the marked cadets and the power of individual choice.
And most importantly, that foundational conflict. Institutional loyalty versus confronting undeniable evidence of official dishonesty.
The book masterfully sets up this political ticking clock, forcing the characters to question everything they've been taught.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? The ultimate question the book leaves us with is a profound moral dilemma for the characters.
In a society built on secrecy, where the leaders you are sworn to protect are clearly lying about existential threats,
Is institutional loyalty, or the pursuit of the dangerous, inconvenient truth, the true measure of a hero? It's a question that will define Violet's future.
click the link on screen for the in-depth book critique. Subscribe, share, purchase via link, and think rationally.
See the many genre-based book podcasts.